Oh, right. So with that top advantage of no more commute comes some associated benefits to that we were alluding to a bit in our um, intro to this conversation. So first of all, you got the time savings, and so like we mentioned, if you got about an roughly an hour each day that you didn't have before because you don't have to commute, you can definitely take that hour and put it to good use. Now you can also just, doom scroll. You got like a whole extra hour to just get into those reels, baby. It's like, all right, I can just really let myself go, or you can do some other things, right? Extra sleep, spend more time with friends and family, get a workout in, eat a healthy breakfast, not in your car, not trying, yeah, not trying to eat cereal in the car.
With the not having the commute, I think having time to work out or getting in some physical activity, I think that being able to do that, that's going to counteract the negative impacts that we were talking about earlier. All the sitting that we do. I teach a couple of yoga classes, and so sometimes I'll have some of my students they'll have to go to Dallas or have to go down to Austin, and they're like, "Oh, I was hurrying so I could get back and come to the evening yoga class," because they know that, when they get back, it's a great way to reset the body. If you're doing that every day, this is kind of a one-off when they do have to go in. You can imagine if you're doing that every day, you run out of time in the day to get all the other things that you need to get done. And I always think about people who are single parents, like trying to fit everything in. That's such a, just a crunch on time. I mean, you can't manufacture more time. And so when employees were able to work remotely, and then this is a way to reallocate the time, and you can have a little like that kind of reset your mind and body in between the work and the family time.
I personally, I'm not somebody that likes to like. I don't like feeling rushed, and so I like giving myself more margin that I think I'm going to need, and so I can just, if something comes up, I can um, easily fit that in. Or if I'm doing something and I'm like, this is taking longer than I thought it would, I don't feel like, oh, I got to hurry this up or I'm going to have to cut this off. And so, yeah, I mean, anytime I have to be somewhere at a specific location early, a lot of that stuff gets cut or shifted. And it's easier for me to deal with because I know, okay, this is a very, very temporary thing, right? It's like, okay, it's just this week. Often it's like it's just this day, even. So it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, definitely for me, being able to have remote work as part of my regular practice, I definitely get more sleep. I definitely have an easier time working out because that's the other thing. Like, if you have a 9 to 5, like if you're going to do your workout, you're either going to have to go really, really early, or you're going to have to go after work. And a lot of people go really, really early or um, after work too. And so it's just a lot busier. And then it makes something that's supposed to be like a reset relaxation, like, okay, this is annoying. Now I'm annoyed here. And like I've been annoyed all day and now I'm annoyed doing this too.
Yeah, it was interesting that respondents to the survey estimated 24 more minutes on sleep and rest and 15 more minutes on exercise, sports, and well-being. So when you think of that, it's not always getting to the gym. It might even be time for prayer and meditation in the mornings to give you that reset. But to have that time and to not be immediately rushed. Or the other thing that, I can deal with a little speed. I don't like to be rushed, but if I have to, I can deal with that. But what I sometimes when I'll get really irritated, it's like after a really good yoga class or you've read something inspirational, whatever it is that you're doing to reset your well-being, and then you immediately go into a stressful situation. I wanted to like savor that reset and that well-being just a little bit longer before somebody cuts me off in traffic. That really is such a challenge. And just the not having to worry about being late or, that feeling rushed and then to jump into it to where you can kind of collect your thoughts and kind of ease into your day and methodically begin to work through. And then if you do need to take a break sometime during the day, you can go outside for a little walk. I know that's one of the things that really helps me probably the most of working remotely and being on so many screens is anytime I can get some movement and a bonus if it's movement and access to nature. And so that to be out and to just look at something that's not technology for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing worse than like, rushing, you're gonna be late. And it's just like the whole, that just raises the anxiety. It's like, okay, I was already rushing and I'm still gonna be late, or you mentioned like the morning meditation or devote, you're doing that, and then you hear like thunder and lightning, and you're like, so then you're distracted, like, okay, it's gonna be a beat down out there. This, I need to get going, so then it's like you can't even really get into that, or it's like you do have a, you lose that like momentum like immediately, where you're just like, okay, I was going to be nice today. Well, that lasted about 15 seconds because it's done now. This guy's already cut me off. The day is already going in the wrong direction. Or you are eating that breakfast too. That was the other thing I was thinking, like you're riding in and the breakfast sandwich falls apart, or it's like, you spill the coffee, you get, there's nothing worse than getting like a coffee spill on your shirt, and it's 8 a.m. and you're like, now I'm gonna see this and smell this all day. And
I was thinking back as you mentioned before about the weather. Well, the area where I live in Texas is where we get a lot of violent thunderstorms. Like just it's just where two air masses love to meet in Texas. Like it's the hangout spot. And I can remember one morning I had to be on site doing a workshop, and it wasn't the thunderstorms that got us, but it was raining and somehow a lot of fog. So visibility was like, you know, I don't, not even a mile, but I had to, I think it was probably 45 minutes that I had to drive. So 45 minutes, like trying to take the back roads when I could. So I was trying to avoid the, highway of death, and just to have that much cortisol flushing through my system. So like, I had to leave super early. So it's like dark, foggy, rain, like all the terrible things. I was please just let me get there alive, and so by the time you get there, then what do you like this? The front part of my brain was not, it took a while to like calm all the systems down and then to be able to be functional, which, I had maybe 30 minutes to get set up and be ready to go. But just as you think about that, of like, that's just in the routine. So some areas just have more weather events to deal with, whether it's snow, ice. We're more thunderstorms, tornadoes in this part, some type of accident, and we are a car-based society. So then you've got, if that something does happen, then you've got extra expense of that and the hassle of trying to get your mode of transportation operational again.
yeah, which leads us into, like, we talked about the time savings, but you also have a significant amount of money savings if you don't have to commute. Because you got gas, you got car maintenance, you could have parking fees, you have a different style of dress than you would have to have remotely. The dry cleaning, um, not a requirement, but a lot of the times if you're working outside the house, like you eat out a lot.
Mm.
You grab food a lot through a drive-through or something like that. So I mean, you you take the commute away where you can work from home, and man, you have eliminated a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think the wardrobe was definitely a big expense, and it's relaxed so much, in current years. But I can remember starting out, the professional wardrobe had to be dry cleaned, and there were just so many additional expenses that went with that. That you're like, that was a lot for, a beginning employee to to handle.
Yeah, believe it or not, there was a time where like I wore a tie almost every day. Yeah. I mean, it almost is like, was that really me or is that am I thinking about somebody else? Because
And
yeah, it's
dress
been a
shoes?
while since I finally like let the all those ties go. Like I had so many ties.
Did you do dress
Uh,
shoes with that or Crocs?
yeah, the I think, when I started working, I think that was even before Crocs. The stat we had in one of our resources talked about just working from home half of the time can save around $4,000 per year.
Oh, I definitely believe that. And just if you factor in how much parking costs in some areas, that's a huge expense that, I've never encountered. And so the first time I heard someone mentioning that, I was like, wait, parking? Oh my gosh. Yeah. And they were saying that was one of the perks was they got and it wasn't free. I mean, it was just a discounted parking rate for them. I was like, oh my goodness. So,
And like even if you had a scenario where they're like, okay, here's going to be your salary and we are considering you're going to have parking fees and you're going to have to, have car main, even if they're telling you that your salary includes some of these things, it's still, you're having to pay for it, right? It's not like you're getting reimbursed for it. Not that anybody really wants all that paperwork either, but it's kind of a different mindset, and and it also brings up the whole again the return to office where it's like, okay, you're requiring me to return the office, and how's that? Is my salary changing? It's like no. It's like, well, what do you mean no? It makes more that to me that makes more sense than saying, okay, you have to come back to the office and no, yeah, there's no pay increase. It's like, well, wait a minute here. I mean, it's going to cost me significantly more to come into the office. It's like, yeah, well, you don't have to work here. It's like, really? Okay. Thank you. Heard that loud and clear. All right. So, the next part of our conversation will go into some of the emotional and physical health benefits.